What's up, everybody? We are going to continue our series of Blazers fans reacting to teams throughout the league. Today, we're going with the completely dog shit Spurs, except
Whoa!
the best player in the history of the universe coming on their team. The man, the myth, the legend, the 8 foot tall Victor Wembanyama.
Kirby came out swinging for this one.
He's probably going to be the man that we talk about the most during this, but maybe not. Maybe there's a few other players that are hiding on that team down there. To be fair, I'm a big Spurs guy. I've been a big Spurs guy since I was a little kid. Tim Duncan's probably my favorite all-time player outside of the Blazers. Greg Popovich, probably my favorite NBA coach of all time. So I love the Spurs, but you can't deny they were bad last year, but they were bad for a reason because they were able to get the best player in the history of the universe, the 8 foot tall Victor Wembanyama.
I heard he was 8'6" and expected to grow another 1.5 feet or something.
Watch out, Rudy Gobert. There's a new tallest French guy in town.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead, Brad.
For sure, the main narrative around the Spurs this year is going to be Victor. I mean, they were terrible last year, like 20 wins or something like that, on purpose. I mean, we know, Blazers fans, we know what it's like to tank. And, that brings me to the thing that I'm most interested in the Spurs this year, which is it's going to be interesting to watch that Rookie of the Year race, which could very well come down to a Spurs-Blazer head-to-head, between Scoot and Victor. Obviously, Victor is going to be the odds-on favorite unless something changes. He's got the media narrative behind him. He's got a lot of hype, and he looks like he's going to be pretty good. He's probably not going to be good enough to, lead his team to a playoff berth this year, I wouldn't think. But it is going to be interesting to see how he adjusts to the league and to see how he compares to Scoot on the Blazers. I will say that if you wanted to put down $10 on the Spurs to win the NBA championship, and Victor is as good as Spurs fans think he might be, then you could win like 250 grand. So it's it might be worth it. 25 grand.
Oh, I was like 250 grand. I'm gonna put $10 down right now.
Oh, you still might be worth it.
You'd just sneeze at 25 grand. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, but 250 grand. That's even another level. I'll put down $50.
That's a whole other zero.
Yeah. No. Obviously, I can't really say what hasn't been said with the hype messages on Victor here. So, just a quick rewind. During the draft lottery, some Spurs fan checked out our draft lottery reactions, because as a Blazer fan, it was close. It was feeling like when pick 4 came in and we didn't have pick 4 and we made it into the top 3. Wow. What an exciting feeling that was for just 3 seconds before our dreams were shattered. As much as we meme on Victor, obviously we wanted him. Riley maybe didn't want him as much just because he's scared of injuries. But obviously, Victor is a generational prospect. Let's see if the prospect part of it translates into a generational player. Because he's, the top prospect since basically LeBron, or you could argue maybe like Greg Oden. Blazer fans know what happened to Greg Oden. He was a can't-miss prospect, and he missed. So
that's why I'm so concerned about him. I'm jaded.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
Would you guys put Zion in that list too? I feel like he was very highly hyped, and injury problems. He's been good, but
yeah, Zion's close, I'd say. But I don't know. Victor feels like a league of his own, and we'll see if he plays like that in the NBA. Obviously, his second preseason game where he played against the Blazers was pretty eye-opening. He struggled in his first, not preseason, summer league. He struggled in his first summer league game, but then he really came out like crazy on the Blazers. The Blazers didn't have Scoot, but still, I'm interested to see this. Do the Spurs, lock Victor in at center, or do they move him up to the power forward spot and kind of shield him from the bigger banging bodies at center? I don't know if Victor's strong enough to guard him at the Embiids of the world. Obviously, he's not yet, but I don't know if that's good for his knees to take that banging in the paint. I think maybe Blazer legend Zach Collins might come in and slot in at the center spot. and we'll see what happens there. But I think the smart move for the Spurs would be starting Victor at the power forward spot just to save him from all the banging down low. We'll see if they do it, because looking at their depth chart, they've got some other talent there that we can touch on really quick.
We talked about that when we were praying that the Blazers would get Wembanyama, that really he would probably have to play the center spot most likely, just because of lineup situations. And it seems like it's kind of similar for the Spurs. If you just look at their talent, I would say he's kind of situated to play in that center spot. I guess you could move. I mean, Sohan is like a guaranteed start, in my opinion. I don't think he comes off the bench. And I guess you could probably move down to the small forward position, but I kind of like him at the power forward position, and that really does leave Wembanyama. Obviously, they have some time to figure it out, and they'll be able to figure out what lineups work and stuff. But yeah, looking at the talent behind him at the center position, it's a little bit head scratchingly non-existent.
Zach played well last season, but you're a big Sohan fan, right?
I like him.
Oh, you do.
I thought you were.
That's all you can say about him. I like him.
I thought you were gonna make a point about him. Yes, I like him a lot. He seems like he's very switchable. Can defend basically every position. Does a lot of in a lot of ways he reminds me of like Kawhi Leonard. I think he is the crazy athletic ability combined with real potential to be a really great player. Obviously, everyone wants to compare him to Rodman because of the hair, but I think that he reminds me quite a bit of some of those other young guys that the Spurs developed. I think he fits in really great with their sort of team image too.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's on the right team for his skill set, because he really could develop a little bit more of his game. So far, he hasn't really been like a major offensive threat. Not that everyone has to be a major offensive threat, but if he could, he definitely has the potential to continue to grow that game, to maybe work on his shooting, to continue to, work on offensive like rebounding and putback type scoring. And he has a lot of that kind of potential in him, and he's on a team that develops guys and has a track record with it. And yeah, I mean, I think he's probably best at the 4, but it would be interesting to see. I mean, maybe it's one of those situations where you kind of have just him and Wemby in at the same time, and you see if you can get a lot of switching going on. Maybe you try to have Wemby not getting boxed out by the biggest guy on every play. Sohan's the kind of guy who gets that low center of gravity and can kind of play against bigger guys than him. So, yeah, he might be able to help protect Wemby a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. Going up the rest of the starting lineup, I guess. We know Keldon Johnson. Everybody knows him. Team USA.
Do you think that he's like a legitimate partner of the future for Wembanyama? Could he be the Kobe to the Shaq?
No,
maybe that's too high of a ceiling to hit, but
I don't think the Spurs have a Kobe currently. Keldon is talented. I don't think he's a very great defender. I think he's kind of a bad defender. And this could be just Blazer fan not knowing his full game totally, but from what I've seen, I haven't been too impressed with his defense. He's undersized, but I mean, he does have talent. He can score the ball. Popovich is not going to put him out there if he's going to be harmful to the team unless we're tank mode, right? But I think he's got talent. I think Vassal's got talent as well. I really think their major hole lies at the point guard position. Obviously, looking at their depth chart, you can see it. They really need that big name point guard. And that could unlock a new realm for Victor. It just depends on kind of what they're looking for.
So, question for you guys. Do you think that it's in the cards that if the season starts out and they're, let's call it, winning at the rate that it looks like they will based on their roster, which is to say not winning a lot, do you think that maybe they tank one more year and try to get another top top 5 pick to pair with Victor for the long run?
One word, yes. I think that's definitely what they'll do.
Mine's a bit more nuanced because when you get a guy like Victor coming in, Victor has high expectations. If you've seen him in interviews or heard him in interviews, he wants to be the best player ever. Obviously, he's heard the hype about himself at this point. You got to be careful about, maybe with Popovich and it being the Spurs, which is the place he wanted to go because the Tony Parker connection, maybe he's fine with sitting out later on in the season if they aren't winning, even if he's healthy. But I think they won't shut people down. I don't think they'll shut people down this year. I think, especially with like the league's resting policy in place, as long as Victor's healthy, I guess the Spurs could find a way. They are the creators of load management per se, but I think that I don't know that they'll get out to that big of a losing start. Let's just put it that way. It depends on the schedule. Haven't checked it out, but I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Spurs do because the West is highly competitive. We know that. If Victor comes out and hits the ground running, he's going to be kind of a problem for the entire league to match up with. So on offense and defense. So we'll see what happens. He's still a rookie, but I think it's a thing.
They did add some depth sneakily, which I think will really help the team. Chetty Osman, Reggie Bullock, Cameron Payne, all,
Dougie
legit.
McBuckets.
Yeah, all legit pros, all guys who know how to come off the bench and make an impact and help the team win games. That's something they really didn't have last year. They're really thin. Not that they had any like big star power starting either, but I think that will help them not be quite as bottom of the league terrible as they were last year. And with the continued development of these young guys, I think that they will be a lot better, a lot better than last year. Not to mention the 8-foot tall Frenchman that's going to be in the middle or at the 3-point line or somewhere in between, maybe at the 3-point line and take 2 steps to the rim.
Yeah, it's all the same to him. The entire basketball court is just a couple of steps away at any given time. So, but yeah, as far as predictions go, I really think there's a chance that they do end up back in tank mode toward the end of the season. I think that like at their best, they're probably like a 35 win team. And so I don't know what that gets them, to be like maybe trying to fight for that play-in spot and then giving up at some point. I think that they're smart enough and long-term enough. And I think that they can convince Victor that one bad season doesn't mean anything in the long run and try to pair someone really great with them for a long career. Because if we know one thing about the Spurs, it's once they get good players, they don't let them go. Kawhi maybe being the big exception, but other than that, they really have not let very many people go. And if Victor wants to be there and he's there for the long term, they got to get him some help. And if he plays well, he'll draw talent too in free agency. But that's a crapshoot. It has to be, the timing has to be right. You have to be able to match, what other teams are matching. And a lot of guys want to go win somewhere now. And if Victor is win in 2 years, it might be tough for him. So they got to go get another piece. And I think the way to do it is to lose again. So I'm going to predict another 25 win year for them. And Scoot wins Rookie of the Year. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Nice little throw in there.
Yeah. I think you're probably right with them. You guys are probably right in the end. I know I said it was nuanced that they will tank, but I don't think that they're going to sniff in the 25 win part again. I think Victor alone adds more wins than that. I think what Kirby said makes sense. They got more vets as of right now. They have depth. They could trade some of that away, or they could, if they're winning at the trade deadline somehow, they could trade some of their picks and some of these young guys and try and acquire a point guard or something like that. But you're probably right. I think that their absolute ceiling probably is like a 10th seed, play in, maybe a 9th if everything breaks out and they're really close.
I kind of think they're sneaky good. Really, I don't think they're as bad as their record showed them to be last year, especially by adding, Wembenyama. But I think they're pretty solid, really. They got a bunch of guys who know how to play at least, and then adding the depth. I think that they could actually surprise some people. And like you said, if they really get it going, there is a chance that they could be like the Thunder from last year, where no one really thought that they were going to do much.
Or Utah, even.
Yeah, or Utah, and they ended up being a real problem and making a bit of a splash in the postseason. Is that it? Looks like we're done.
Anyone else want to put a number on it? How many wins are they getting?
I'll say
31.
Yeah, I was gonna say right in the 32, 33 range. I'll do the prices. I'll prices right you and go one above 32 wins.
And who's winning Rookie of the Year?
My boy Scoot, obviously.
I'm gonna not be a homer and say that the narrative will tell Victor, if he's healthy and the stats are close, Victor will win Rookie of the Year no matter what, because
0-0.
Scoot.
As a Blazer fan, I would love it, but the narrative will carry Victor if the stats are anywhere close and the records are close, which they probably will be.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, everyone. Spurs fans, let us know in the comments. Scoot's gonna win Rookie of the Year.
Bye.